So if you like lots of pictures, lots of CGI, and lots of action, this video and other videos I'm about to do may not be for you. I'm going through my files and I'm going to present to you some of the things that I have written. So pardon me for reading to you, and if you don't like something in a text form, perhaps you could just skip over this video and go to something that has a lot of action and a lot of pictures. This is basically just content presented in text form. So I entitled this The Tell of Television. The word television is made up of two words. The word is broken down by saying the first word, tele, is derived from the Greek word telos, and telos means far away or out of sight. The second word is vision. So it is assumed that television means bringing something far out of sight within vision. However, the Greek word telos, like English words, can have multiple meanings. Another commonly used meaning of telos is end or goal. Hence, the real meaning of the word television might be end goals are seen, or purposes are brought within sight of the viewer. So what I'm trying to get at is that possibly television was meant primarily for propaganda and persuading you with rhetoric. The tell of television is that those who control the broadcast have end goals in mind. The communication of an end goal comes to what is seen on the television screen. Now, I also did a video a while back on the book where he talks about we think in pictures. So when you see pictures, it has great impact on you rather than just something like the text. So for example, right now this video may have little to no impact on anyone because there's no pictures there. Very few viewers realize that the resonating images on the television screen easily bypass our conscious state and go directly into the subconscious mind. Due to high-definition television, as much as 1 billion dots can be flickering on the average television screen during the watching of any television program or newscast. These powerful images, along with the narration and strong emotions shown on the screen, can alter the viewer's state of mind and become persuasive in his or her thinking. In other words, you're being brainwashed. You probably already know a lot of this, but I decided I'm going to try to put some things up that are not necessarily that appealing to the eye. The tell of television is that really someone or some group has decided in advance of the broadcast news program or entertainment program or educational program what effects are desired in the minds of the viewers. In other words, someone is telling the viewer what to think and what to feel about the characters and the events, whether it's a documentary or entertainment program or newscast. This is done so that telos, or end goals and purposes, will be achieved. When a viewer sits in front of a television for any reason, he or she is being subjected to telos, or goals or purposes. The goals or purposes may not be obvious, but the reason the broadcast was made was to achieve some effect on the viewer. And Marshall McLuhan's little phrase and saying, the medium is the message. In other words, it don't matter. The medium does something to you, and that's the message. You're being controlled. If that's what McLuhan meant. By the way, P.S. McLuhan was none other than Father Time, Walter Cronkite. That's a P.S. The idea was first brought out by Professor Marshall McLuhan when he said, the medium is the message. What Professor McLuhan meant by that statement was that television is not about content. Television is about effect. The ultimate message of any television program, whether it be educational, entertainment, or informational, is that the program, when viewed, will do something to the viewer. In other words, it's like going into the surgical room and the surgeons are doing something to the patient. And the patient is the one who sits in front of the television screen. Television, when understood as someone or some group telling the viewer of what he or she must believe, think, or feel, is really a form of hypnosis or mind control. The term that was used for manipulation of thought by communists to achieve re-education and or indoctrination was brainwashing. If you doubt that television creates highly suggestive state for manipulation, try to awaken your spouse, your child, your friend when he or she is viewing his or her favorite show. The degree of involvement of the mind of the viewer with the resonating images on the screen is almost identical to a trance state or hypnotic state. I say almost identical, it actually is so. A state of subconscious is achieved in viewing television, and this receptive state of mind is the best for persuasion and manipulation of beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. So a warning. Stop allowing the programmer to program your mind. Say no to the teller in television. The best way to stop watching television completely. If you can't completely refrain from viewing television, watch it selectively. When viewing a show or program, you might wish, now that on the screen you won't see this, so I'm not going to change it, but this is a conclusion. It's not in front of you on the screen. To deliberately turn your head away for a few minutes and just take in the audio without watching the resonating images. By not watching the resonating images, you can be more in control of your thoughts and emotions rather than glued to the screen. So what I'm suggesting is for experimental purposes, or even to try to break an addiction to television, have the television on, but close your eyes or put a blindfold on and just take in the audio. Do not take in the visual or the resonating images. And by doing so, you might actually be able to discern logical fallacies that are given to you in these so-called newscasts and news reports. So for example, in one of the school shootings, He talked about how the individual went into the school and shot everybody up and then committed suicide. And later down the road in another newscast, they found the gun that did all the shooting in the school out in the parking lot in a car. Well, hold on, if he committed suicide with the gun in the school, how in the blue blazers did the gun get out in the parking lot in the trunk of a car? In other words, it was totally, 100% illogical. But if you were watching with your eyes, you would be drawn in hypnotically, and the trance would be successful. But if you had your eyes closed and you just listened to the verbal, your brain could think and be able to say something like, there's no way they could find the gun out in the parking lot in the trunk of a car. If that was the gun that did all this terror in the school and eventually led to the death of so-called the shooter. Complete, total, illogical. Anyhow, this is what I call the tell of television, or the telos, which means end goal or end purpose. The end goal or end purpose of television is the manipulation of the mind and emotions. Hey, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. End of video.